one's like a little bit loose, and that one's like pretty tight, and it's like the right. We're gonna go 1 5/8. That's where you tell me like, oh, this one's a super weird expensive one. Dang it. Don't you like? No, it doesn't matter. Because okay, that middle one's like, you know, and a dirty tag doesn't look good, like you're blocking the plant. But really, it should be like, okay, it's super weird.
He knows Dad. Even though Dad doesn't come around every day anymore.
He got excited.
Yeah, he knows Dad.
Yeah.
I know, buddy. I wish I could be here all the time, too. I can't even take him home either because people would miss him so much. They visit him all the time, the locals, so I have to grow Ladybird, but, you know, I'd be lying if I didn't miss Murphy. Like, it's a personable fish, and it's like your dog coming to greet you every morning. Every single day I'd walk in, he'd get super excited, I'd flip the lights on, I'd be like, hey Murphy, and I'd run my hand down the tank, and he'd follow me, and I'd have to go and count the register and that kind of stuff. And it's like, you build a bond when you do that every single day of your life for years. Like, you build a bond with an animal. And then, of course, I feed him during the day, and so that's why he'll do this for other employees, but he gets extra excited because we've done it so many years in a row before. And now he's like, whoa, you're here. So,
what's up, everybody? How's it going? So I'm here at Aquarium Co-op. Finally made it after years of wanting to be here. Cory's going to give us a nice tour, hopefully nice and in depth.
it's payback time. I've been to your house twice.
Yes.
So,
yes. I believe you did a pretty long video of that.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, this should be exciting. So let's do this.
We're one of the oldest, for sure. So you want me to feed first? You want to do an intro first?
We'll just let you feed first.
All right. You ready, Murph? You ready? He's already eaten today because we've had customers, but now the trick is, you might not hear it because we're wearing mics, but the amount of crunching that goes on, I'll do it the slow and suspenseful way of like one at a time, so it's not just a complete bloodbath. He literally won't stop either, that's the thing.
So they can easily overeat themselves.
Yeah, I personally have never fed it so much they'll puke, but sometimes like a big catfish, they'll puke it up if they eat way too much. But he can swallow the clams whole, and these are frozen. Like, these are frozen clams, so when you watch him eat it like a potato chip, that's like a sign of the actual power that's going on there, because we don't thaw them or anything. Like, he just busted through a handful of them all at once.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
He's creating his own substrate.
I do. I tell people this is how we make crushed coral. It does buffer the water really well. You miss one, Murph?
And he's so much bigger than I thought he'd be in person. Like, look at that super red bristle nose down there, which is awesome, and pretty big bristle nose. But
yeah, and like a 5-inch Siamese algae eater.
Yeah.
And people always ask, doesn't he eat all these guppies? No, the guppies eat off his poop, so it's really high protein because puffers pass it really quickly, and all this density in the back keeps him from eating it. Like, he wants more. So yeah, the guppies are safe. He's predatory only towards like snails and clams and crunchy things.
Yeah, because there's a ton of guppies in here.
Yeah.
So many babies.
And so he'll eat a ½ pound or more every day. If we feed it to him, he'll eat even more. And so that becomes one of the things of like, he's still going to grow probably another foot. The food bill is going to get massive. This is a 360-gallon aquarium, 4 feet front to back. That's how you can have like an 18-inch fish or so and still have some depth. And we're going to have to upsize that tank. 2 feet tall, 4 feet front to back, 6 feet long. And you can already see like he's pretty massive.
Yeah, and you'll get another foot.
Yeah, and so if you can get a different look if you look from the side over here. You can kind of see how deep this tank is. So when you come across, you see we've got all the plants towards the back. And then, you know, he's coming over to meet us and all that. We've got the tops on, so I can't feed while he's over here, but
all those guppies.
Yeah, and there's actually a lot of orange shrimp hidden in the the weeds. Yeah, there was a colony of them going really good for a while, and then he got a taste for them. So if they come out, he eats them. Otherwise, they can live back in the weeds. So it's what I like about it. It's the closest thing to actual nature. Of like people are like, I don't get it. He would eat those. Like he would, except he can't get in there. Like, he doesn't have any need to chase down this tiny shrimp.
Right.
When, one, he's got lovable store employees that will feed him, and all the people that come to see him.
It's kind of like a dog, too. You can kind of train him a little bit.
And, like, we have the live camera on this tank 24 hours a day, so anyone can go to our website, you can clue in, and right now people can be watching us film him.
That's cool.
24 hours a day, every day.
I wonder how many people are watching that camera right now.
Yeah, I don't know, because it never says how many people are watching, but people will call the store like, is he okay? Oh, I saw him do a thing. There's a kid tapping on his tank. Go stop him. You know, there's all these things you're like, oh, people really are watching this because they call the store type of deal.
So he's kind of got like all kinds of owners.
He's got a following for sure.
So cool.
So powerful. He would take your finger right off. Like, you have to feed him all this shelled food because these big teeth, they're like a bird beak. They have to file them down. And if they don't, they get too big and they can't open and close their mouth. So that's why we feed so many shelled foods all the time. And yeah, he's just my buddy. I typically name my fish human names. Like the first blue puffer we ever had that died of an illness, we had a necropsy done. Nothing we could have done. It was incurable, but he was Hank after Hank Hill from King of the Hill. And then it was I needed another old name because I liked old man names, and I thought Murphy was kind of an old man name. And then I got another Moo Puffer at my house, which you guys will see probably in a different video, and we named her Ladybird, smaller. That's the name of Hank Hill's dog, so Ladybird. And I'm growing out another one at home because this is like, I love guppies a lot, but I really love Maboo puffers because they're peaceful. A lot of puffers are really aggressive. Maboo puffers are so kind. I can stick my arm in there. Jimmy's really scared of the puffer. A lot of employees are, but they're so gentle. They're a gentle giant, and they're inquisitive. Like, if I was to dip my finger in, he thinks it's food. That's a dangerous move. Don't do that. But you put your arm in there, and he goes, "Oh, it's Cory. This is okay." You know, but yeah, he definitely could take your finger right off. That's why we have the tank so high. A lot of people, why do you put the tank so high? It's a 4-foot stand. We don't want people putting their hands in there all the time. Kids, we get them up on a ladder, we have to watch them. If you wear the Aquarium Co-op shirt, you get to come in and feed, and everyone loves that. They'll bring, we'll have whole little parades of kids, like, it's someone's birthday, we're feeding Murphy, and everyone gets to enjoy it. And people can't believe this is freshwater. All the plants are real, they just assume it's got to be a saltwater tank. Puffers are saltwater. No, not this one. Oh yeah, you do have guppies. You have all these things that I could have in my tank. And so it really helps draw people in to, you could have an aquarium that's enjoyable and not just, a big public saltwater display tank. So, and I just love big fish mixed with small fish. This is as close to nature as I'll ever be able to get in the hobby. You've got all the facets going. A lot of times you see a big fish, can't live with anything else, it destroys it. I like to push those bounds, as you like to push bounds on things. That's something I like to do. I'm like, well, I think I can make this work.
Yeah.
And it's worked out great, and people love it, and it's now the mascot. So that's why you can't come home with me, Murphy. You have to put on the show for everyone.
And he does a very good job at that.
Yeah.
And I think he's very happy about that job.
Yeah, he lives a pretty good life. Gets to entertain people and gets to eat me out of house and home. This is a 2-pound package of clams, and we go through this every probably 3 or 4 days. And at your local store you can get something like this for about $25. So it's not, think of it, you're feeding them $5 every day. That's a $150 food bill. That's like a big dog, but it's totally worth it in my opinion. We have the 360-gallon tank. We change about 100 gallons of water every day, and the water goes down and changes down below. We have Goldfish. So we keep his water very clean, and we reuse it for the Goldfish just to make sure that we don't run into any problems.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's a lot of extra water too. How many gallons probably?
Well, we're not recirculating. We only put fresh water because we sell the Goldfish down here. We never want to jeopardize getting him sick. So it's purely we change water out of here. The wastewater, and I say wastewater because you keep it clean, is what changes the Goldfish. So we recycle at least once before it goes out of the building. And so yeah, it works out great. A lot of plant filtration. Sorry. A lot of plant filtration going on. Works out good.
Yeah, that Bobitus is huge back there.
Yeah.
That is insane.
This giant crinum.
These things are getting ginormous.
Yeah, they've been growing in here for a few years now, and we got like one little sprig of Guppy Grass. And so kind of a cool thing. If you look back at the bulbitis, right underneath this light, you see all the bubbles on it. That's natural pearling. We don't inject any CO2. This is all natural growth. We do fertilize, but that's all, like, there's enough CO2 in here. It's really loving life. We don't really get algae in this tank at all, and I think it's because it's a big enough system. You know, that's because even at home I get algae, but I haven't balanced the system. I don't have nearly this plant density and that kind of stuff. And you know, most big fish wouldn't let you have plants, but this guy is cool with it. And yeah, I love it to death.
So amazing. I love this store and how you got it all laid out. And look, it's just tanks all the way down.
Yeah, this was a tank. This is the first tank that I ever got for the store. This we got from, I'll turn off this dehumidifier here so it gets a little quieter. This we got from the first Aquatic Expo. So it was the Family Pet Expo before it became the Aquatic Experience when it was on the West Coast. And I worked the Hikari booth, worked all weekend, worked like a dog, the touch tank with the saltwater stuff. And everyone that donated that much time got to pick a tank. And they knew I was opening a store. So they're like, take this 90-gallon rimless tank and you can put it in your store when you open next year. And so it still sits here today. It's the only tank, I believe, in the entire store that doesn't auto water change. So this is the one we have to physically do manual water changes. We just play with some plants in here. We kind of show people, like, you can totally do this on your own. It's not a big deal. You know, we breed bristlenose. We bred different stuff. We've done discus. We've done goldfish. And mostly, you know, like this is a carpeta parva. It's like, you could accomplish this at home. Anyone can do this tank. And we've got a big pothos growing out of it. It's just like, have fun. Usually an employee adopts it. Like, oh, you've been working here long enough? You want a tank? Here, you take it over for a year. And then, like, we've got Robert's tank over here. He's been working on this one for probably 6-8 months. This used to be the tank I always did because it was right near the register and I had to stay by the register a lot of times. So I'd play with this tank. But now that I'm not at the store, display tank by Robert, just a lot of plants to play with and show people, like, this is what willow hygro becomes. This is Pogostemon stellatus octopus. This is Pogostemon erectus. Both of these right here. We've got a Micrantha lily. So that's a special lily where it makes baby lilies out of the center of it. Kind of a cool one. Normal tiger lotus down here. And like Val in the back, like anyone can just buy a bunch of neon tetras, throw a few guppies in it, and have this like kaleidoscope of color. And we use that to show people, again, no CO2 injected. This is just a sponge filter, good fluval lighting, and then putting our like easy green fertilizer. It doesn't have to be easy green, it could be any fertilizer really, but getting the nutrients to the plants. You can have a display. I think most people, if they had this in their home, be like, yeah, I like that. I don't think anyone's going, oh, I hate it. You know, it's not technical. It's not superscaped. It's just fun. We put fish we like these pencil fish. There's kind of a fun thing. You don't normally see them. They got their nose towards the top.
Very cool.
This tank is literally do what's fun for the employees so you can show people different things or show them you having fun.
Yeah.
And that's contagious. If you're having fun, all of a sudden they want to try doing it, you know. Once they get to know you, they're not like, well, you're not a rocket scientist. I could probably do this too, you know. And that's the confidence we want to build. Because I always hate when I go into a store and you've got this, you take all these discus that are down low and you put them up in the display tank, and I build this thing that you could never achieve. Like that I don't think that's selling fish. Like, how about I take stuff you'd already have at home, some tetras and a gourami, and then we start putting some plants in there, and we make it look good, and then because I think that's what people want. When I really grill them, what is it you want? They go, well, I just want it to be like, I want it to look good. They don't specifically want one fish or one plant, they just want it to look good. And so this would always be like, do you want it to look like this? Great, because there's no CO2 injection, we're running a sponge filter, and we put a good light and some fertilizer on it. You could do that, you know, because a lot of times they'd be like, yeah, that right there. And they would assume they had to have CO2 and all that, and they don't. And so we use that as an example. And then we kind of go, yeah, you're going to pick out some plants, but then you've got all these fish to choose from, and we've positioned the store mostly so that everything could live together. There's a few, don't put the goldfish with the tiny fish, but for the most part, our store focused on planted community tanks, and that's what we do in every single one of them. And there's rare stuff, and there's not rare stuff, and I like to show the stuff that's not super rare is just as cool as the crazy rare stuff. Sometimes people get into the hobby like, I only want the rare stuff. Well, stuff got common because people love it. You know, like, oh, every store carries that because so many people love that fish. That's why it actually became,
so true.
You know, popular. So don't be worried about that. Right. And we've got like the little nano section as you go in.
Yeah, I love this. You got shrimp and all
shrimp,
kinds of
pygmy corridoras. we've got the rainbows in there, which is a lot of female thread fins at the moment. We've got the Danio erythromicron, so that's the sister species to celestial pearl Danio. So nothing too crazy rare in there. And you hop over, then we've got some Abatis rubers in there. That's those little guys looking, and they're picking at the vibrobites at the moment.
Ooh, we got that little eel-like thing.
So that's a silver Cooley Loach. People don't realize there's another one right here. There's actually 14 different types of Cooley Loaches.
What?
Yeah. If you get I own the Loach book. Cool. I bought it when it was new, but apparently now it's like over $100. But I never knew there's over 14 species of the Pangea family.
That is cool.
Yeah. So there should be we've got a betta living here. We try to show all of our bettas. Our bettas live with community tanks because we want them to be in community tanks.
I've noticed one in almost every one of the tanks.
And then we've got this buse right here. We like to show them flowering and that kind of stuff. That's when plants are happy. This one already is done flowering. The flower died off. So we try to, I guess we try to lead by example and show you can be successful, not make something out of reach or out of touch, that type of thing. We just swapped out this filter, but we've got orange shrimp in it. Another type of gold ring Danio, not super common.
Yeah, I love the gold rings.
Very hardy fish. People should really love that fish more than they do, but and then the standard fare of Brigitae rasboras. Rosy loaches are a great fun loach you can breed in a 5-gallon. Not a lot of people know about them. We've got the long fin, super red bristlenose. They're expensive. Unfortunately, they're still rare in the U.S., so we got to sell them for $45, but they look amazing. They're small though. We've got some red rilly shrimp in there. But then we've got, maybe you're I hate planted community tanks. I get it. So then we've got things like albino bichers. We've got an Endlerici bicher. Kind of some fun stuff like that, bigger stuff. Because I'm into big fish, as I said earlier. I like big fish. But, I like to pair stuff like this that don't get a huge mouth, then put them with maybe some in the next tank over. You've got archer fish. The archers are super cool. Same thing. They're not going to beat on each other, but they're a nice big fish. You get the shooting action out of them.
These wolf fish, right? Wolf butterfly fish?
Butterfly fish, yeah. They're in the bony tongue family. They're in the same family as arowanas.
Oh, really?
So they got that trapdoor mouth that just opens up. They mostly sit up top and wait for something to accidentally swim into its mouth.
Okay.
So with little tetras, not a good idea, but if you put in a little bit of floating food, maybe I could put some vibrobites, maybe they'll eat it up since it floats on top. Put a little bit in there, see if we can get that trap door to open.
Oh yeah, there he goes.
Yeah. So there you go, you see his mouth.
Uh-huh.
And they would just sit there right underneath a branch or leaves and wait for an insect or a fish to be like, what's going on over here? Oh no! Yeah, that's just their move. Then we've got things like Leopoldite angelfish. They're not super common like the Scalari angels, but they're cooler enough. Ooh, I haven't seen those before. They got that real pointed nose for an angelfish. And these are small ones, but they look cooler as they get bigger. And then again, more shrimp. We've got, the blue wood shrimp. We've got blue velvet shrimp. And you never know, in the fish store, because I own it, I know what hides in here. And this is one of those things you can walk through here 5 times, you probably wouldn't see them. But this dwarf anchor catfish, these are as big as these things get. These little anchored catfish. And a lot of times, you'll start moving stuff around and be like, oh, there's a bunch in there.
Right.
They'll be on the back of the sponge filter, and yeah. So you really got to look in the nooks and crannies when you're looking at a fish store, because especially in the nano tanks, you never know what's going to be tiny and hiding.
So I was looking in here real good earlier, and I didn't even notice those were in here.
There are fish that are terribly hard to sell, because you have to be like, oh, you need to see this fish.
Right.
Yeah, you can only see them when someone else crawls on them. You might not have seen that there's a scarlet batis right there. Another nano fish. The nano fish hides so well.
Very cool. You even got frogs.
Oh yeah, we have 2 types. So we have the normal type there, and back in another tank we were talking about, we have the albino or the blonde flavor. So they're more of a white color. Yeah. These are the dwarf African frogs.
So you can have a contrast.
Yeah, because people fall in love with them and they go, oh, I could have different kinds. It's even cooler.
How big do those get?
They only get maybe double that size. They get a lot fatter.
Okay.
To put on some size to them, like girth, but not a lot length. Then we've got plants. We obviously sell a bunch of plants. We've got a whole warehouse full of plants because we sell everything online. And we're a little low because right now it's Thursday. Usually we get plants Friday, Saturday, and Monday. And so Thursday is about the lowest we could possibly be. That's today. And in general, you'll see things like they're purling and, you know, they're creating oxygen. They're happy. That's, you know, we try to just do well by plants. We think it's essential to an ecosystem. Like, if you're going to do a tank, plants only enhance it, in my opinion. That's what all these little bubbles are coming up off of stuff. It's because we do inject CO2 into these because we're trying to convert them over to submerged grown as fast as we can.
That is awesome.
Up here we kind of have a rare fish, the royal spotted hill trouts. These are kind of like the mascara barbs and stuff you play with, a little bit. Like they're act just like them.
I actually
They're a
have
fun
these
fish.
with my mascara barbs.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
They actually come from the same waters.
Okay, yeah, I thought
And
so.
the mascara barbs will hide underneath those hill trouts and kind
There's
of use them as a layer
there's still
of
some
defense.
controversy going on whether the orange and the white is different or not. If it's technically two species or it's just male-female. Like there's a lot of nerd
That's
fighting
interesting.
going on. Because they can, the wholesalers will get batches where all of them are just orange. And they'll get some that are only just white. And then every once in a while they get some that are mixed.
And if you look online, they have them as two different names.
Right, and kind of like your mascara barbs, how there's like two different ones that get lumped as the same mascara barb and that kind of stuff. Like I think that region is just not well split up into groups yet. You know, there's stuff that's so similar. So, yeah, we could walk out here, see if there's anything cool. Again,
Oh yeah, there's some cool stuff in here. Like these purple neons, I've never seen those before.
I
What are
honestly
those?
hadn't
Those
seen
are
them.
cool.
They're right up here. Let me move the light because we were doing something in here. So the entire store is lit by LEDs. Yeah, so we've got the red neon rainbow that was on screen there. We've got these locally bred baby koi angels. And then, of course, we have all of the blue neons hiding, or all the purple neons kind of hiding in the back. They're right behind this live plant. Yeah. But those rainbows look good up in the corner.
Yeah.
So the entire store automatically changes water 4 times a day. We shoot for a 20% water change on every single tank every day. That's how we have these bigger stocking levels. And it makes it easy because it's automatic. Even on Christmas when we're closed, 4 water changes happen. Makes life easy.
Yeah.
This is a really rare fish in here. It takes me years to get this when I run out. The pygmy striped loach. That's as big as they get.
Oh, right there on the driftwood?
Yeah, they're super sought after. If you come around the back, they hover around and they school. So they're moving across the back of the tank, yeah. So they're very, very rare. Like, they're $9.99 each. I get them about once every 4 or 5 years. And usually when a super nerd finds out I have them, they walk in and they buy them all. So it's not a common loach, and they're really, like if I had a tank to set them up, I would, because they're very cool. They school around kind of like Corydoras hastatus, so even though they're a ground dweller, they school around like a tetra. Very cool fish.
Yeah, I've never seen those.
Yeah, they're really rare. Like I got them once. Looks like we've got a green phantom pleco out and about.
Wow. He's a nice one.
Yeah, we sell something like that for about $60. I always try to give a little bit of price reference because a lot of people wonder. These are all locally bred rams.
These Deans?
I believe so, yeah. Yep.
Right.
There's also, we've got dwarf petricola catfish in there, lucipinus. And then we should have some leopard frog plecos maybe, unless we sold out today. Do I see one on the back of the fluval heater? Yep. Come on out, guy.
There he is.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So a trick to a lot of these plecos and German blue rams, we keep them at least 83 degrees, and the breeder that we get them from likes to breed them at 85 or 86, which luckily enough, we'll be taking Lucas to see that fish room, so you guys get to see like, oh, the breeder that's making some of these really cool fish for us, what is that like? And you can kind of see like, wow, you're getting that stock from that guy, and it's in the store, like, I can see why people want to buy that stock. So you're going to get to see my own fish room, the store, some of the breeders we buy from, kind of a whole meal deal here. Not a lot of people. You'd be about the only person that gets to film Dean. Dean doesn't let just anyone into their fish room, so he does watch you and that kind of stuff, so that kind of gets you the pass.
Awesome.
Yeah, and here kind of just general rummy-nosed tetras, apistogrammas. I say general because for here, it's very common for me to have a lot of apistogrammas, but not every store would. Yes, we have a betta living with all of this stuff. Again, we typically always have bettas in all of our tanks pretty much. Do I have anything, I always say, do I have anything noteworthy besides, you know, but I'm trying to find the quick hits of like, these are, yeah, so we can show the macrostoma. These are bred by Dean as well, these rainbows.
Dwarf neons.
Yeah. You'll see his breeders and stuff like that at his house. That'll be cool.
So healthy.
Yeah, and they're coming big. And so he's got two lines. He's got this line, he's got another line that came from Gary Lang. Both his lines are from Gary Lang, but he's got the new updated version also. So he's going to run two lines. Down here we've got the betta macrostoma. Got the boy and the girl.
Awesome.
Let me see if I can get them to eat. I'll go grab some food real quick, some of the Vibrobites. We'll see if they'll eat it. So it's got such big mouths on them.
I've never seen the black emperor tetras.
You never seen those ones?
No.
Yeah.
I've never seen those.
Well, you saw something new then.
Right?
Yeah.
Seen a couple of things new.
Yeah,
It's
there's
actually been a while
varieties.
since I've been to a fish store.
Or outside of your house, right?
Yeah, that too.
I get that way too. See if these guys will chow down for us. I got big mouths. Yeah.
Those guys are cool.
I just love to show the Vibrobites because they're honestly, it's one of my favorite foods. Not everyone has great luck with all their fish, but I mean, I own lots of fish because I own a fish store, and it's so well received by so many fish. And these are, you know, wild caught fish like this. Like for them, usually they would only take to frozen foods. You know, we had to add in all the leaves and the tannins and all that, you know, so. But you'll get to see, so Dean took some of these home to breed, so we can offer them less than, what are we, $225 a pair? Like, once he can breed them, then we can offer them like, oh, it's $100 a pair type of deal.
But that's a mature pair.
Yeah, which if we can sell fry.
I always love these Raphael Cats too.
Mm-hmm.
And you sell all the coconut shells and leaf litters too. I love how the store's like set up, like the substrate and everything's like all organized, like everything's so
we try to
nicely placed.
We try to just to be like, how would I like it as a hobbyist? And then because I'm a hobbyist that owns a store, it works out that way.
Too.
Yeah, looking at the Kohaku swords.
Yeah.
I'm a libearer nerd myself, so we end up having a lot of libearers and that kind of stuff. The Odessa barbs are another one of my favorites just because the color is so insane on them. Like, there's a good looking fish. Cooley loaches. We cut costs by running LEDs on every tank. We make our own tops. Anything we can do, you know, a lot of stores pay so much in power. And it's because they're like, well, LED lights are expensive. They are the first time, you know, but we've had these now for years. And so they're saving us money as every year goes by. This is a rare kind of golden betta. We brought a bunch of these. I showed them the betta. Yeah, we've got a
bunch of them in here. They're really pretty.
The problem with bettas for me is I have to bring in, like, usually the minimum for any strain like that is at least 30 of them. They all see you focus on. I should feed that way. But yeah,
I gotta
so
save some. My battery's about dead here.
All right. We'll have to charge it up and get to the next place to film.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And over here?
All right, so up here, again, we have a little bit of some displays, easy stuff. Like this is the Cardinal Tetra tank with Dwarf Sagittarius, some Ceru stone. And yes, we have a goldfish there. Why do we have a goldfish? We're trying to eliminate all the duckweed, which on your channel, you've probably seen how you do it. We do it with a goldfish. Now, we have lots of conversations about how this goldfish can't live with these guys long term. They're also great little algae eaters. You know, we're playing with some plants. We like to show, lead by example. Yes. Is this a crazy setup of goldfish, cardinal tetras, and a gold betta? Yes. But this starts a conversation. Hey, can you do this? And then you go, well, yeah, long term it's not going to work. Here's all the things you might think about.
So I do got to ask, why wouldn't it work long term?
So long term, when this guy gets really big, like you might see in my fish room, he can actually swallow that betta at that size. Other thing you might look at is like this guy wants a lot of meat. These guys shouldn't have that much meat. Like the Cory in there, this size Corridora with a big goldfish, I've had to cut them out of their gills a lot of times. People bring them in the store, what do I do? And you basically have to kill this fish to save that fish. That's not a fun thing.
No.
But because that conversation starts and people walk up and go, oh, I see you're doing it, I want to do that. Well, okay, which of these fish do you have? Oh, you have this already. Here's why this isn't going to work, or why it's not a long-term thing. Just because you see something in the store doesn't mean it's good or should be done all the time. You know, we use them strategically, and it gives us a chance to teach, like, oh, well, they actually love duckweed. Maybe you should grow some if you have goldfish, and blah, blah, blah. So over here is a mix of goldfish. We also have some employees that breed goldfish. They'll bring their babies in. You know, we've got pearl scales, we've got fantails. You know, it's just, we like to keep goldfish. One of the crazy things that I do is I hyperinflate the price of goldfish. So typically if you sell a cheap goldfish, like, oh, this guy is $4.99, people will way overbuy and they'll like not treat them right, where the cheapest fish in this tank is $20. And they'd be like, I can get that thing, that guy right there, I can get that guy at PetSmart for $4. Like, yes, you could, but I want you to respect this. Like, do you pick out your dog because that one's $4 and not $50 to adopt? No, you pick out the right animal. And that's kind of the same thing. If you're judging the difference between $20 and $4 on a pet you're going to keep for 30 plus years, that's probably the first sign that this might not be the pet for you. You know, and if, don't get me wrong, if there was a kid that had saved up their allowance and they had $6, yes, if their family was ready for this pet, but it's purely to keep people from going, yeah, give me, oh, they're $4 each? Yeah, give me at least 5 of those. You know, a $20 bill. That happens way too often in this industry. They go, how much? I'll take this many. Not, oh, how much should I care for? How many can I care for? They go with a money thing, and it happens all the time. Oh, neon tetras, huh? Oh, they're $1? Well, I'll take 100 then. You know, and it's like, oh, if they're $2, I'll take 50. Like, people buy with round money numbers, and it makes no sense. And then you figure out, like, you only have a 12-gallon tank. Like, you don't put 100 neon tetras in there. Like, so you got to throttle some people. They don't know any better. So, yeah, up here we've got more. So we've got the butterfly hill trout. These are slightly different than the royal spotted hill trout. Got some Congo tetras. Also got the albinos in there. Some rainbows. Yeah, more rainbows up here. These are my favorite, the Pygmy Rainbow. They only get that big. And they get all that color. Really cool dwarf rainbow. Not very common.
No, not at all.
Love that fish.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so some rainbows. Here, these are actually tiger barbs from the 800-gallon aquarium that you guys will probably see at some point. Also got, you know, there's a bristlenose in there and some val. This is just kind of where we put, like, where are we going to put those fish? It arrives in this tank. It's kind of a pain to catch out of, but hey, if you want tiger barbs in 800 gallon, they're $3. Down here, this was, if no one's maintaining this, it gets out of control. We've got this Miramel moss that was planted on things. We've got a bunch of shrimp going on in there for Amanos. And this is all Marsilia minuta, I believe. It might be Glosso, actually. It might be Glosso.
Yeah, I think that's close.
Yeah. But we're not injecting CO2 here either. And I'm not in love with this tank, but an employee likes to play with it. So we're letting it be. Like, it's not a display tank, in my opinion, at this point. But things are happy, you know?
And the monos are huge.
Yeah.
My lord.
Well, they've got unlimited algae. We feed well. Bunch of ember tetras in there. But yeah, Pandagara.
It's as big as the Pandagara.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Fish and shrimp and that kind of stuff that hit the display tanks because they're not for sale are pretty long lived here because it's auto water change, they're getting fed well. Like, that's, I always wonder this when I'm at a fish store. How is it that people are paid to care for these things and they're worse off than if they were at my house where no one's being paid to take care of them? Like, I've got a staff at this point between the warehouse and here of about 14 people. Like, if my fish are worse on average than what you've got at home, we're doing something horribly wrong. Now, a lot of times the fish can come in and we've really got to nurse them back to health. That's its own thing, but that would be like our quarantine room, which I can take and show you. But by the time they hit the floor, for the most part, they should be pretty good. Now, that doesn't mean someone doesn't get beat up or we miss a thing here and there, but you know, we really try to embrace nature, and that's, you know, like we've got pothos growing all the way around the store and that kind of stuff. And, you know, I guess we try to lead by example And if we can't do it right, how do we expect you to do it right? If I'm paying someone to do this and they can't pull it off, how are you going to do it home for free when you've got a full-time job and you've got kids and you're trying to just enjoy it? So we try to set things up that aren't unmanageable. But if we go to the quarantine room, I can show you that's one of my pride and joys, one of the things that I knew for sure I had to do when I opened the store over 5 years ago. And it's something that I don't think you can compromise on. I think every store has to have this. So this is the employee only. So one of the things that we wanted to do I thought was very important. I wanted people to be able to look in and know that we quarantine fish. A lot of stores want to hide sick fish. I want you to know exactly where the sick fish are, so that if I show you all the sick fish in the store, you know I'm not hiding it. So then you know the stuff that's not sick, oh, I could buy from there and I reasonably expect it to be healthy. And so we wanted it to be on display, all the sick fish and all the quarantine fish, so when they come in here. And so, like, we sell a lot of Cardinal Tetras, so it's like, here's a batch, here's a batch, here's a batch. So first to go out, these have been here for almost 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, right? So we kind of rotate through so that, because people buy a lot of them, they tend to not quarantine them when they get home. They put them right in their display tank, and once, I think everyone's almost been there, like, oh, I brought Cardinal Tetras and now I got ick and I've ruined my whole display tank. We know that's a common theme. Why not plan like that's going to happen? So we end up getting all these groups of Tetras, or of Cardinals, but we do that for everything. So like, here's the next group. If you go in out there, you're going to know we already have Ember Tetras. These will only go out once we sold all of those. So we're not cross-contaminating. We're limiting as much as we can. Every time we use a net, if we were to show that, a net only ever gets used in a tank once, then it gets sterilized. So we don't, like, you know, a lot of fish stores, like, you could go catch it from 5 different tanks, all the same net. No, it's one tank, one net, one use. And it's always been that way. It always will be that way. There can be some cross-contamination from a bubble doing it or a hand, but we limit it as much as we can. Like, the odds are so low of transferring that way, but with a net, it's actually kind of high. You can even move fish around, so... Yeah, and we got Serpe Tetras, Green Fire Tetras. In here we're quarantining Dwarf Chain Loaches with Black Neon Tetras. This is kind of a cool fish that doesn't show up well on camera, but the Green Rasbora is to the left.
Yeah, I love these guys. And I absolutely love that you do this. Like, this is what I believe sets you apart from everybody else. Is the fact that you do this and you go the extra mile to take care of the fish, and it's just unbelievable. I wish so many people would, so many more stores would do it. I'm shocked they don't do it, because this is the only way I can reasonably look you in the face when you're like, they all died, and I'm like, well, we quarantined them for 3 weeks and then they were healthy on the floor. Like, what happened? Where if we were just like landing them and sold them to you the next day, I've got no history on them. I can't even pretend to protect my sale. You know, you would just have to give in, like, yeah, we probably sold you sick fish. At least here, we can have fish where, like, by the time you're getting these, they've been here for a month, and then you take them home and 6 hours later they're dead. Who do we think's at fault there? Me that have been here for a month and you thought they were healthy in my tank, or is there something going on in your tank because you only had them 6 hours and they died? Like, right. And so we will still give in sometimes. We're like, we have to figure out what went wrong. We're not just going to replace them because stores do that, and you just run through stuff. You're like, oh, you killed another 12 of them in 6 hours. Like, we actually care about the animals too, not just making the money. Send them to the slaughter. Yeah, and we've had that happen where you're like, how could this possibly have happened? You know, so that one of the other things we'll do if we have excess quarantine tanks. Let me see if this has any extra. So I'll hide the person's name, but this is, they've got a fish they can't cure. These are different meds we've tried. They're highly contagious. They paid. They, you know, here's the start date, the end date. Sometimes as a hobby, so you just can't figure out what's going on. And naturally, I have insane amounts of meds around because I've got to cure some crazy stuff sometimes. So sometimes it makes sense. We'll usually charge about, for one of these tanks, you know, we try not to do this very often. It's really got to be a serious case, but we'll charge you like $20 a week, and we'll throw some meds at it, what we think might charge it, knowing that, like, you're a good customer, this is why you buy from us. We don't make money. A lot of times we'll lose money on the meds and the employee time and all that, but you become a forever customer if we have extra tanks. We don't always have extra tanks, but sometimes it's like your Oscar you've had for 12 years, you know, and you really don't want to see that thing die. Not that we want to see any fish die, but you're like,
you're at that point, I'll pay any amount of money. We got to save this thing, you know? And we'll go, well, okay, we'll try, but know that we might kill it. Like, we're trying to save a life. Don't hold us accountable. Like, you're obviously here for a reason.
At least you're willing to stick your neck out like that. Nobody else would do that.
So far, we've never had it go horribly wrong. Like, we've killed some fish, but no one's ever got super upset because by the time they get here, they're in pretty bad shape.
Right.
We've saved a lot of fish, but it's not something like if all of a sudden 20 people show up tomorrow and want us to do that. Like, we don't make money, so we're not like trying to get more people like that. We're just going, look,
you're a fish
feel
store,
you.
not a fish
Yeah,
hospital.
exactly. So it's like, well, we feel you. We'll do what we can. But yeah, so we've got a bunch of like neon tetras here. We've got a bunch of, I think, Apistogramma bitaniata, I think is what's in here. So kind of one of the rare, more drab apistos. And in this system, what I haven't explained yet is everything changes 50% water every day, automatic. And then we redose meds every day. So that's why we're doing such drastic changes. If you're like, well, we do 33%. Like when you go to redose meds, it's harder for the employee to be like, okay, so how much meds do I put in? If you know we're changing. Also, you'll notice if I was to grab a net, because I had all these custom made, they're all black dividers, so these fish can't see each other, and the net itself is an exact fit. So what we do, if we were going to catch all of these neon green rasboras, the employee comes in, they get this pleco that's underneath the sponge out. Come on, guy. They put it right there. They would literally scoop the net front to back, catch 90 tetras at once, bring them straight out onto the floor, drop this back in, done, move on. So it's designed with knowing we're going to touch a lot of fish. We need it to be anyone could scoop all these at once, that type of thing, and it works out pretty good. This was the first iteration we ever had, actually. So when I was trying to design this system, it didn't exist. And I thought, maybe we need 30-gallon tanks. Like, yeah, bigger tanks. And what I found was we don't need bigger tanks. Like, you could take the same, you know, let's say 300 neon tetras in 30 gallons or in 10 gallons. It's the amount of water changes that matters. And so this was the first iteration. All these slots that are right here are so that you can hang the collection cups. So even that, I was like, oh yeah, we need to put collection cup slots in because we're going to be catching fish. We're going to be doing all this stuff. And so I had to design it myself. And like this was the first thing where we had to use a lot of acrylic and cut out this big round porthole. Then I was like, I don't need all that extra acrylic. I just need the back to hold it together in the front. And they're not cheap, but now that we've had them for like 5 years, they've made our money over 100-fold, right? And they're acrylic, so we don't have to worry about any employees breaking them, because glass tanks do get broken. You get people that trip, you get kids that, you know, hit it, you get, like a lot of times in a retail space, people don't know this, but a lot of times it's a coat or a purse. You walk by and you just chip that corner, and it's totally by accident. No one's trying to hurt aquariums, but it happens probably once every 6 or 8 months. And it doesn't necessarily break the tank, but you're like, oh, there's a liability. Like, that's a problem long term. And so, you know, paying for the acrylic back here made a lot of sense. These are just Home Depot racks. So we took the Home Depot rack, put plywood on it, and then we had these. And I guess something we didn't say yet, none of these share water. They're all individually filtered with a sponge filter. They all get their own automatic water change. Like if I come over here right now, we can go to, let's see, we're in the quarantine room. I move it to there, and I'll start the water change. We're gonna watch all the water start kicking on here, and it's gonna, right now it's gonna go for 10 minutes. So their water started flowing, and now we've got water. It's gonna start filling all these lines, and then we'll start seeing it kick in here.
You just got it in the airlines.
Yep, they're all going into different airlines right here with a little, like on this one, it's got a little right there. Just that easy. And so if you look up top, and this is for the whole store works this way, you look up, what are all these lines? They're airlines, and they're all the autofill lines. So every single tank in the store, except for that 90 gallon we talked about earlier, is on the auto water change system. So we can go through here, we could gravel vac them all, hit a button, and refill all the tanks at once. So it's really nice to have that. And then all the water is controlled from a temperature controller on the hot water heater. Now, unfortunately, I don't own this building, so I still have to use a traditional water heater, but at home, I have a tankless water heater, literally unlimited amounts of water. So it's really just a nice system. It makes it really easy to do extra water changes. We can turn it off and on as we like. Same system that controls Murphy's tank and the rest of the store. We actually have one system for this wall, one system for that wall. And we make sure we alternate them so it's not like they're both on at the same time. We don't want to like drain the hot water heater or anything like that. So, but all that stuff, it took me many, many months to build the infrastructure. And like out here on the wall, so to speak, we painted it all black and blended it in. And then like when we built the store, the city of Edmonds wouldn't let us have it go into the water like that. So we had to build these risers to let the water in. So there was a water gap. They were afraid that if they ever cut the line out there, water would backflow. And they would never sign off on this. I had to build this entire wall, and then they would approve it if they liked it. If they didn't like it, I couldn't do it. But they couldn't envision it. No, there's nothing in the codes that says, like, there's codes on how a restaurant has to be, a salon has to be, all this kind of stuff. But a fish store, there's no codes. And so no one wanted to sign off on that. I don't want my name on that. So then I built it, and it looks good. And you're like, okay, I see what's going on. And they finally signed off. But at that point, we could have gone out of business because I didn't have enough money to rebuild this. This was a one-shot deal at best. And so luckily they signed off, and we've been good ever since. You know, I knew it would work, but to convince, we had to have meetings with the city hall and what we're doing and what's the impact. We actually had to run impact studies. How much traffic will the Aquarium Co-op bring? Do we need to redo roads and that kind of stuff at the time? Laughable. Now, there's almost a case to be made for that. A lot of people come to the Aquarium Co-op, so I could almost be like, well, that being said, you know, we don't bring nearly as much traffic as like a McDonald's or something like that. Like on the best day, we probably see 100 people here, so, you know, not too bad at all. And then, so because I'm a hobbyist, there's a lot of things that's different about my store. I only sell products I will actually use and that I've tested. So that can slow down things like, oh, this thing's great. If I don't have time to test it, it doesn't come to the store. But in general, I love sponge filters and reusable media. Not so much on hang-on backs. I do sell aqua clears. But in general, it's things that you're going to be able to use forever. Rinse, reuse. We have our own line of fertilizer and that kind of stuff. And, you know, like these little shot glasses I love because they have milliliters on them. They also have ounces on them. They also have teaspoons on them. So any medication, any dechlorinator, any measurement, this thing will figure it out for you. Product I invented. You know, and then there's just other useful stuff like root tabs. Buy them one at a time. Maybe you've got a 5-gallon tank. You don't need a 40-pack of root tabs. You just need one. You can buy one for $1. It's going to last you a few months probably. So anything that I think I needed as a hobbyist, I built into my store. And like meds, I don't carry, like, you know, you go to a lot of stores and they got 700 different types of medication. Mm-hmm. What you see here is like antibacterial, anti-internal parasite, anti-external parasite. Then you've got cupramine that technically treats velvet. You've got a little bit of preventative with Paragard, and then you've got methylene blue. We mostly use that for breeders. And salt. That's the only meds. Like, there's no ketamycin, there's not an entire wall to get lost on. It's really easy to be like, because one of my big things I really hate, personal pet peeve as a fish nerd, when you go to a store and they got saltwater, they've got cichlids, they've got community fish, they've got all these things, they've got ferrets, they've got dogs, they've got all these things. And then you're like, oh yeah, can you help me with my tank? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm the saltwater guy. And then you're like, oh, well, is there the specialist? Oh, they don't work today. Like, all of my employees are planted community tank specialists. Like, it's not, oh, well, this person's not working. Oh, you got to wait till a saltwater guy comes in. Because that experience always sucked. If you drove 2 hours to get there, you don't want to hear how, oh, that guy doesn't work today. I don't know. Like, it's our job to know. That's why we're here. And so I wanted to make sure that I limit the products and I sell everything I need. So there's even stuff I sell that no one buys but me, and that would be like polyfilter. This is what you use to ship fish. It absorbs all these things, and based on the color it turns is what it absorbs. So when you're shipping fish, maybe you got to absorb ammonia and that kind of stuff. Like, we keep it here because every once in a while, like Lucas, he's going to buy some fish and ship it home. He might want to add that to his thing, absorb the ammonia, but everything is legit tried by me. We do things like a hobbyist would. Like, what's this down here? Yes, we even put zucchini in our tanks because that's what you should do for all these Siamese algae eaters that are in here and the Florida flagfish. So even though I don't sell zucchini, we still use it and I would tell you guys to use it. We have a lot of foods we use. But just because we use it and sell it doesn't mean that's the best thing always. There's different things for different times. If you got a whole vegetable garden going, you should be feeding zucchini, you should be keeping loaches, you should be keeping plecos. It just makes sense. You know, we try to give you, here's what we think you need based on the information you've given us. And then once we build that trust, that works forever. If we just go, oh no, you're using stress coat, oh no, you need to get prime. Yeah, because this gets us $12 today. Like that, you realize that these are the same product essentially, like they're both dechlorinators, and you realize we burned you forever. Like that's not a long-term relationship. So we always want to go, when people are like, is this filter better? Like, yeah, maybe, but you already own that one. Just use that one. Like, it's not good enough to spend another $100. That's just dumb. Buy a whole other aquarium if you're going to spend $100. You know, so we've built that trust up online. We built it up in the store, and we're just forever going to do that. Like, a lot of stores don't like us. They're like, well, we don't sell nearly as many replacement pads. As you'll notice, we don't sell a single cartridge.
No.
We sell pads because we go, oh yeah, let's take that cartridge, let's replace it with this reticulated sponge that I had custom built for Aquarium Co-op that we sell to replace that stupid system that's killing the environment. This you can reuse 1 billion times. Like, it just makes more sense than doing that. Like, oh, you really have to have carbon? Great. Use an impregnated carbon pad. You know, don't give in to all the plastic. What you do is you cut all that crap off that plastic and reuse it, and then use these so you're not throwing away a piece of plastic every week. Let's think a little bit about the #1 killer of our fish, which is plastics. Let's use less of those if we're trying to enjoy this slice of nature. So there's definitely decisions like that that don't make me money, but let me sleep at night. And that's really important to me, and I think it's important to other people too. You know, also we don't sell any plastic plants. We're all live. We have this whole feel of, let's embrace nature. Like, I love it. You know, and I paid a lot of money to have this sign made when I didn't have any money at all. And that was the Enjoy Nature Daily sign, because that keeps me grounded. You know, you walk in the store, we're here to enjoy nature. Am I enjoying it? If I'm not, I'm doing something wrong. If you're all stressed out about your tank, it's sick, you're not enjoying it, we've done something wrong. We've done something wrong, or you're doing something wrong. Let's get it back to where you enjoy it. The whole goal of keeping an aquarium in your house is not to impress the guy at your club that you bred a rare fish. It's that you and your family enjoy nature. Like, you're bringing it in so that, oh, it's raining outside, glad I got this slice of nature, and you enjoy, and it's therapeutic. If we're not accomplishing that, we might be doing it for the wrong reasons, you know. And so it keeps me grounded, and you know, it's a hand-carved sign. I guess another little thing I haven't talked about in a long time, all the woods that we use, so we used a lot of wood in here, you guys might have noticed at this point, like live edge and all that. It's all sustainably harvested maple. So it costs more money, but it was harvested, replanted, done all that. We used a lot of, I haven't told this story in probably 5 years. A lot of this stuff is all reclaimed. So if it wasn't harvested sustainably, it was reclaimed. Like, this is all reclaimed lumber. If we come in here, you can see some of the store that was built out of parts. Like, this was a post that was found just in a parking lot somewhere, right? These racks that have been here for over 5 years, this was in the space when we moved in. These are just kitchen baking racks. We use them, we hang our bags.
Nice.
This right here, where we put our freezer, these are old bed frames.
Huh.
Literally old bed frames, because
Holy.
people throw them out when they get a new bed. It's perfectly great metal. Same thing. You can see the post where you would have put the wheel.
Yeah.
This holds the CO2 cylinder from coming out. Like, and like right here, again, another bed rail. Like, but when you paint it and you make it look good and you do all these things, like, we're very committed to reduce, reuse, recycle. There are some things, like this rack I bought used, but this one we built. We had to build it, and for safety reasons, we had to use tubular steel. You know, there was no way, no one was giving that away for free, you know. But same thing, it's all reclaimed lumber right behind you. If we go look at our plant rack, again, what are these? Bed rails. We're using bed rails down here, reclaimed wood. You know, we literally tried, like, we were on a shoestring budget, but we also wanted it to look good, and we wanted to be, like, not just, you know, take advantage of the environment. This is old fabric the guy had that helped me build the store. This is a big burl right here. he had this in his shop, and we were like, oh, it would look good. We could use that. That's the cornerstone of the live edge, the live edge thing. The funny part is this didn't even exist until basically the local government got involved. So the problem is this counter, which is super awesome right here, is not to ADA code. It's 40 inches. I have to have one at 36. Hence, now we've made this over here. But it worked out really well because this is the bagging station, and now we've got like a command center for answering emails and doing all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was kind of a crazy story. I haven't told that, like how much we reuse. I forget about all the good things we did, and I focus on the things I'm doing now. I forget that it's like, oh yeah, we did that like 5 years ago. That was really, it still is really important to me. Like all our sponge filters and stuff, we try to order them without packaging even, because the first thing you do is you throw it away. So we try to order, like these ones right here, we have the option. We can order it with packaging or without. We order it without the packaging because you're just going to hopefully recycle the box.
I love that.
And it's, people go like, oh, I don't get instructions. Like, do you need this? This is like the most basic thing on the planet. You can come in, we'll teach you. I can teach you online. But in general, we run as many things as we can without the packaging. Do you need a plastic package to hold 4 of these? I don't think you do. Same with all this stuff. We try to eliminate packaging. There's no barcodes and stuff. There's no bag around it. We're trying to do as much as we possibly can. So it used to be that everything was in these bigger bottles, 16 ounce. We went down to 8.5 ounce because it uses half as much plastic and it's cheaper to ship, which also means less, emissions to do it. So it was a win-win-win all around, but a few of these other products, you can't concentrate down that much. But that's things we're always thinking about. How can we do a little bit better? Like even the bags we use, like when you buy stuff, they're oxo-degradable. That means they break down under oxygen and sunlight, because we know plastic bags, once they get out into the wild, they just kind of stay there forever. Not ours. Yes. Does our bag cost 5 times as much as someone else's bag? Like, a little corner grocery store? Yes. But that bag's also going to kill fish. And if I'm making my money off fish, how does it make any sense for me to be like, I'm helping ruin my own industry? So I like to think that some people really value that. I don't know if enough people are. I hope the long term they will. But we build all that because that's what lets me sleep at night, and I know that I'm doing what I can. And I'm not going to say that like, oh man, I've made every great decision that's ever been done. But if I have a willing choice of like, oh, I could do this sustainably, or I could do this a little bit better, I will make that choice if it wouldn't put us out of business. Like there are some things where it's like, well, like foods. If we only ever sold bulk foods and they brought in their own containers, like it's a mess, it attracts cockroaches and ants, and like there's some things where you're like, okay, that one doesn't make sense. There's too much moisture in the air. But anytime we've got a chance to do something slightly better for the environment, we'll take that chance every time. So
that's amazing. I wish so many other companies would have that consciousness for sure, because these days they wrap everything in plastic.
Yeah, that whole frustration-free packaging, it's like, well, if it's not in a package, it's already frustration-free.
That's about as frustration-free as it gets.
And not everything can come that way, but the more products we design and actually have produced for us, we're as conscious as we can be with packaging. There's stuff that has to have a package, and then there's stuff that doesn't. And if it doesn't, let's not have one. And if it does, let's make sure it's recyclable. Let's make sure it's, not excess. If you ever open up a package and you're like, this thing is a package in a package. Like, we didn't need both the packages. Could have just dealt with one.
All the time.
Like, we try and avoid that for sure. So, yeah, you kind of get a little glimpse into how I run my store and my online business. Like, we do, it's funny. I order stuff on Amazon. I literally save all of those little pillows up and we reuse them in our own warehouse, because like I own a machine that makes those pillows, but why would I recycle those ones and then build other ones when you could just, here, you reuse these. We reuse bubble wrap, all that kind of stuff. People look at it a little weird, like, why did I get something from, like fries.com? Like, well, because I ordered a computer part and so we reused it. But it just makes sense to me. Let's do it right, and so far, we're 6 years in. At this point, this year, I would say we're like very successful. Like, we've got a bunch of people. Everyone seems to be happy. We're growing. We're doing well. I can't complain. and we haven't had to compromise on anything yet. So that's, you know, as far as I know, as good as you can get. And we hope that it goes that way. You know, even with all the tariffs, like when you have a product made, all the tariffs are hitting us right now, 25% more expensive. We were able to absorb that and not raise the price for the customers. It was hard. We've had to make some sacrifices. We got rid of our rewards program, and we did a few other little tweaks here and there. But we've been able to do it and absorb it so that we didn't have to increase the price. We didn't make it any cheaper, but we didn't have to increase it. So, you know, all we can do is, at the end of the day, I tell people, I'm still a hobbyist. I'm still going to try out every product we're ever going to sell you. I want to make sure I love it. I want to make sure I stand behind it. So that way, if it breaks on you, no questions asked, replace it. We stand by everything we sell. You know, and there's a lot of companies that don't, and we have to really think, like Phoenix, for instance, they don't have a long warranty on their light. If it breaks at 6 months and 1 day, Aquarium Co-op eats it, and we're going to send you another light. It sucks. Bad. But, you know, if it broke after like 2 or 3 years, like, well, that's not really unexpected. Like, not, it should last longer, but, you know, at 6 months and a day, like, I just believe any electronic like that, like a light, something that's going to be like $100, you should at least get a year out of it. Like, that's kind of the bare minimum. So on some products that we love, we do love those Phoenix lights. I run them in the entire store. Nice budget light. I'm willing to cover that extra gap because being that we use 100 of them and we've used them for years and years and years, I know they pretty much never have a problem. So I'm willing to cover that gap. You know, and then we partner with like Fluval that has 3-year warranties on their lights. This heater, like, people should take more advantage of this. This heater has 5-year warranty. Like, if it breaks, they will hand you a brand new heater. And what we do is, if it breaks on you, we will send you a new one, no questions asked, and we just charge Fluval. Like, I think everyone, like, yes, $57 heater, that's expensive. But if you buy a cheaper heater and it breaks 3 years in and kills all your fish, clearly more than 57 bucks. You know, so we try, and one, we don't want to see you buying a new heater every 2 years. That's bad on the environment too. Like, we want to encourage anyone who has a long warranty on their product. That means they're willing to stand behind it. They've built it to last. In my opinion, too many products are meant to be thrown away. Kind of the buy and die. Like, just keep getting new ones, new cartridges, new things all the time. And we want something that's like, oh no, 20 years later, I still have that aqua clear. Replace the impeller once, but still using the same filter. We like that. We like that sponge filter that you've had for 20 years. We like all of that. Buy it once, buy it forever, and enjoy it. And focus on, oh, my fish died of old age. It was 11 years old. I bought new ones. Instead of like, oh, they're dying all the time. And, you know, it's a big sales pitch. I get it. But that's the philosophy. I hope more stores adopt it. You know,
yes.
I hope it
gets contagious.
I fully hope someone puts me out of business because, like, oh, we care about the environment more and we're doing it better than Cory ever did it. Like, that's a win. Like, oh, you've done way better than me and now I can't be in the marketplace? Great. That means the hobby is out of control. Yeah. So, I think that's all I got for you, really, unless you got any extra questions. I hope that satisfies your curiosity of the Aquarium Co-op.
That was beautiful. All right, guys, so there you have it. A tour of Aquarium Co-op. Absolutely amazing. It's a beautiful thing you do for the hobby, Cory.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're out here trying to set new standards and leading the way, especially with that plastic reduce and reuse stuff. Like, that's absolutely beautiful, and I can't say thank you enough.
I can't put down other companies if I'm not doing the same thing. Like, I can't say use less packaging and then I use more packaging. I have to lead by example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, I hope you keep up the good work for a long time. So.
Oh, I will, and I'll be back at the LR Brett's facility to film more.
Ooh, that would be
Third
awesome.
time's a charm.
It's been a while since somebody's really done a tour of that fisherman.
Ooh, I'll dig in. 4-hour tour.
Changed a lot, but thank you so much for having me over, Cory. This has been a bucket list item of mine for quite some time. So glad we got it done.
Glad you're here, buddy.
So if you guys haven't checked out Aquarium Co-op, make sure you do so on YouTube, Aquarium Co-op. They also have an online store too where you can get stuff as well.
Yep.
They've got tons of stuff in the warehouse and tons of things on there. So check them out. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do here on YouTube. So till next time, everybody, have a great one.
Bye-bye.